I'm Betty. Welcome to my kitchen. We've been invited out to dinner tonight, and I know that our hostess is making steak. I'm bringing dessert, and I thought the perfect dessert would be cheesecake. Plain New York style cheesecake. Very rich, but worth every single calorie. So here we go. The first thing we're going to do is make the crust for this cheesecake. So in my processor, I have 6 whole graham crackers that I've broken up roughly. And I'm going to add a little more than a 1/4 cup of pecans, which I've toasted. You don't have to use these if you don't like nuts, but it does add another level of flavor. And I'm going to add about 3 teaspoons of sugar. We're just going to process this until we have fine crumbs. Right, that looks good. So now I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of softened butter. Use my finger there. And we're just going to process this until it's combined. There, that looks good. Now we're going to spread this into a springform pan. I'm using this terrific springform pan that has a glass bottom, and I love this because it means I don't have to transfer the cake to a serving plate. And a springform pan is simply just that, a pan that has a little spring on the side so that you can remove the sides and still have your cake on the bottom. Now I'll try to get this back together again. Just tip that up into the groove, and there we go. So now I'm just going to tip out my processed crumbs and spread them out more or less evenly. They just have to go on the bottom. You don't need to have them going up the side. Now that that's even, I'm just going to press them in using the back of my hand. Get that as firm as I can. As I said, I like to add the toasted pecans. It just gives it that little extra bit of flavor. But of course, if you're allergic to nuts, simply omit them. That feels pretty good. And I'm going to put this in the refrigerator while I get my filling ready. I have my ingredients ready. When you're going to make this cheesecake, it's very important that all the ingredients be at room temperature before you start. So here we have them. 1½ cups of sugar, 4 large eggs, 2 cups of sour cream, a cup of heavy cream, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm just going to start beating this cream cheese until it's well combined and fluffy. Good if I do that. All right, now I'm going to add this sugar gradually. I'll just turn this down a little bit and get this started. Once all the sugar has been added, I'm going to add the eggs one at a time, just letting the mixer go until I can see the egg has been absorbed. using a blade with this flexible rubber piece on the end, which means I don't have to stop and scrape down the bowl. If your mixer doesn't have such a blade, you do want to scrape it every so often. So now I'm ready to add my sour cream. And the heavy cream. Just scrape it out a little bit. And a teaspoon of vanilla. Just going to give that a mix. Get all of that goodness in there. Okay, I'll get my crust and we'll be ready to go. I've got my oven all preheated at 350 degrees. And this cheesecake is going to bake for an hour. Once that hour is up, I'm going to turn off the oven and leave it in there for another hour. That way it will finish cooking very gently, and with any luck at all, it won't have a crack on the top. And there we go. I'm just going to smooth the top a little bit. Clean that off. And it's ready to go in the oven. As with most things, you want to bake that in the center. And we'll set our timer for 1 hour. And there it is. My cheesecake has baked and it has rested in the oven for an hour. Unfortunately, it developed a crack on the top, which sometimes happens. They don't always come out perfectly, but I'll show you how to disguise that. First, I'm going to let this finish cooling, and then I'm going to refrigerate it overnight, and we'll take care of that crack in the morning. I've got a bunch of strawberries all sliced here, and although I'm going to use them to cover up this crack, it also makes for a beautiful presentation and a tasty addition to the basic cheesecake. So we're just going to start putting these around. And I've sort of sized my strawberries, and I'm going to be using the larger ones on the outside and going to the smaller slices as I move in. Now that the strawberries are all in place, I'm going to glaze them. And what I'm using is a little seedless raspberry jam that I've thinned down with just a little bit of water and warmed it so that it's nice and melted. I'm just going to put a very light coating on here. This is going to give it that beautiful glaze that you see in professional pastry shops. You don't need too much, just enough to give it that pretty shine. And of course you dab very lightly so that you don't disturb the pretty arrangement of strawberry slices that you've made. There, that looks just about right. And I'll pop this back in the refrigerator to set, and it'll be all ready to serve. A strawberry topped New York style cheesecake. I think you'll like it. If you have any questions or comments about this or any other of my recipes, please contact me directly at bbasiglio@gmail.com. I no longer receive notifications from YouTube about your questions, and so I'm unable to answer them unless you contact me directly. Thanks.